Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never ever alone. Here on Invisible Condition, we know life can be tough sometimes. I get it. Okay, I'm 7 brain surgeries in, man. I get it. Some days are better than others. The other thing that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt is that there's always hope, always hope. So I'm going to put an email address on the screen, and I promise you this will go to me. If you are struggling with that, if you have, there's days, right? There's days where your hope is lost, right? Or it's further from you than you would like, and you're wondering where the heck did it go. If you need help with that, please shoot me an email at jeff@hydrowithhope.com. I would love to, if we need to, get on a Zoom call. I want to encourage you. I want to get that hope back. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there for anybody that needs it. And the other thing is, I'd also we're gonna be talking about a couple things during the episode, and I'll probably be acknowledging some of our sponsors and some of the people that we work with and some of the other parts of our business and stuff. And one of them is Hydro with Hope, and so we'll definitely be talking about Hydro with Hope during the show, which is right there. And we're gonna be talking about this journal right here, which is pretty awesome for anybody that needs it. So we'll be talking about that, and we'll also be talking about our studio sponsor, which is NRG, or Network Referral Group. Oops, I made that's a better one. You can actually read that one. That's better. So we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff during the show. It's going to be pretty awesome. I can't wait for you to meet our guest, though, which is the main reason we're here. So Paula Hescock is our guest, and she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a professional who spent 17 years searching for answers, like a lot of you, like a lot of the previous guests, to chronic pain that no one could fully explain, right? Because you go to the medical community, they throw their hands up, don't have a clue what to tell you. After navigating both traditional and alternative treatments, I'm gonna put a different word there: conventional and alternative. It's not traditional. Her journey took her to a little bit of an unexpected turn, not outward but inward. So today, Paula is the host of Rewriting the Illness Story podcast, which is a self-development and a self-development teacher and an herbal wellness guide, helping others reconnect themselves and transform their relationship with illness, because that's half the battle, right? Is how you think about what that illness is and how it's interacting with your body. So that's important, man. The psychological part's the kind of the hardest part sometimes. So anyway, we're going to dive into all that. Let's bring her on and see where this goes. Paula, thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon, Jeff. I'm so happy to be on the show today. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to dive in. I always love it when I get to talk to people of like mind. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's always more fun to talk to people that think a lot of the same things. So, but I before we blast off with all this, I do have one question that I like to ask everybody on the show because I always love the answer. It's always good. Um, on the tough days that were painful, on those days that you were not sure, if you wanted to get out of bed or not, the days that were hard, how did you still maintain hope?
I tried to surround myself with as many positive things as possible. I'm an avid audiobook reader, so I would listen to like inspirational leaders and teachers. And I had my son as well. So, that was kind of a thing that always kept me going. Like, no matter what, like, I know he needs me. And so I have to keep going.
Totally. I get it, man. got three kids myself, man, and they kind of grew up with watching me go through a lot of this stuff. So I understand. In fact, my oldest daughter Elizabeth came on the show with my wife, and they kind of recounted some of those experiences. So yeah, it's they go through it too. If you go through it, so do they, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
for sure.
So in the early years, I was a single parent
Mm.
from 2003 until I started dating my husband, I think in like 2013. And then we
Ah,
got married in 2015. So
nice.
also just having that support from my husband
Oh
and,
yeah,
that's
totally.
such a game changer.
Seriously, it makes a huge difference. It does.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go back way to the beginning here. What were those first signs that something? Well, first of all, let me ask this question first, and then we'll do that one. What is Tarlov cyst disease? What is that? I had never heard of that before. So,
They're actually, so I know you had the well, you still have the
yeah,
hydrocephaly, but
hydrocephalus
it
never
doesn't
goes
go
away.
away,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's kind of similar to that almost, where it is cysts that are full of cerebrospinal fluid.
Hmm.
They grow out of the nerve sheath in the sacral spine. So
Hmm.
there's like around your spinal cord, there's layers,
Hmm.
and there's three layers, and they protect your spinal cord within your spine, right? So
Yep.
one of the layers kind of gets like a out pocket. It's not even like a true cyst where it's like a
Okay.
separate bubble. It's like a outcropping, and they develop around the nerve sheaths, and they're most
Mm.
common in the sacral spine,
Okay. Which is the lower, right? Or is that the lower or
right
the
in your
upper?
pelvis. Yeah,
Right in
in
the,
the
yeah,
pelvis.
lower. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
So essentially, I had two that were in my S3, and they were piggybacked on each other.
Ah.
And then I was sitting like all the time, right? So it was just awful. But I started having symptoms in 2001. I was going to school at the University of Florida, and looking back, I had realized, wait, like when the doctors were asking me, did you have some kind of injury or something? Well, I was on the patio waiting tables at Outback Steakhouse, and I fell because it
Ooh.
was wet. So I don't know if that was kind of like the beginning of it, because then it was like a few months later that I started having the pelvic pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was still on my parents' insurance, and I started going to doctors. And when it started, it felt like I had some kind of infection.
Oh.
So they
Okay.
were giving me medication for yeast infections and bacterial infections.
Oh.
And I was on the antifungals for, I think, like around a month or something. And I'm like, this
Wow.
is this is not working, right? So then it would kind of like come and go. Like I almost had kind of flare ups with it.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of dealt with it throughout the years. I had my son in 2003. After I had him, they put me on some different hormones. And then I tried antidepressants because they said,
Sure.
oh, the old tricyclic antidepressants work pretty well for these type of conditions, for
Mm.
chronic pain and whatever.
Huh.
So I tried that, but then it made me like a zombie. It was so
Yeah.
bad. It
Nobody
was,
needs that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Ugh.
was like I couldn't even barely stay awake.
Ugh.
And then I took on a new job, and I moved to Miami. I ended up splitting up with my son's husband. My husband,
I
my
hear. I heard
son's
what you. I
father.
heard what you meant there. Yeah.
And so I moved down to Miami, and I just had so much stress. I think at that time, like, my grandfather had passed away, and
Mm.
then I took on a new job. I split up with my son's father, and I had so many things going on that it just became overwhelming. And so I started seeing a therapist, And when I started seeing that therapist, she was telling me about another patient of hers that had pelvic floor problems. And
Mm.
she referred me to a therapist at the University of Miami. And that's how I found out that I had pelvic floor problems.
Huh.
So, and basically what was happening, it was like the muscles in my pelvic floor, which is
Mhm.
like the bowl that kind of holds all your organs and everything
Yeah.
in it,
Yeah.
from like your butt to your pubic bone. Um, it was the muscles were tightening and spasming
Ooh.
like really bad. And then it was referring all this pain. So I just felt
Yeah.
like I was like going up in flames. But, it wasn't like I could pinpoint to even where I was having all the tension.
Right. Yeah. You know what it sounds like, and maybe you heard maybe they talked about this when you were going to these different specialists and stuff, but it almost sounds like Ehlers-Danlos. Is it or is that's different though?
It is different. Yeah, that Ehlers down, I can never say it
I
properly.
know it was
Is a That's a
EDS.
connective tissue disorder, and
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I am very hypermobile, and a lot of people that have Tarlov cyst disease also have that.
That makes sense because it
So,
sounded so it's almost like it was partnered with it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Sorry, carry on.
No, no worries.
Yeah.
So I started seeing the therapist and going to the pelvic floor therapist, and I was getting a little bit of leadway. I was finding like a person here or there that would kind of give me like a little piece of the picture. I
Yeah.
tried
Yeah.
somebody was telling me to do like a sugar-free, basically like gluten-free diet. Somebody told me like, "Oh, you sound like you have systemic yeast." So I did the whole diet to try to get rid of that. I don't know how much I believe in that type of stuff, but whatever.
I
When you're
mean,
in so
yeah.
much pain, you try to like do anything you
Oh
can to get
no.
out of it, right?
Yeah, no, believe me, 4 brain surgeries in the last 12 years. Yes, side effects from every single one of them. I was trying stuff I never thought I would experiment with for relief from some of the symptoms, man. I get it. Yes,
Yeah.
you try whatever you have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Holy cow.
So I went to a woman that did biomeridian testing, and it
Wow.
was like you hold a grounding electrode in one hand, and then she uses the other. I don't know. I'm not so great at explaining it, but she would use this electrode and then like touch on different points, like acupressure points in my
Mm,
hands and feet, and she would get a reading. So I
wow.
went to her for, I don't know, maybe 8 months or so. But everybody I met that went to her, they were like, this woman saved my life.
Huh,
It was just earth shattering to them. So,
yeah.
and it actually really worked well for me. That was one of the first things that I found. Um, and she was like, "Oh, you're such an adrenaline junkie. Like I'm, going off of stress all, which was true. I was so beyond stressed out, right? So
Yeah.
with the readings that she got from that testing, she gave me supplements for my adrenals and
Mhm.
like the L-theanine for stress relief and different things. But it basically, I went from like feeling like I was gonna go up in flames to like 75% better
Nice.
by taking all these supplements. So I was like, whatever I can do that's gonna make me well
Yeah.
enough that I can get through the day, because I was working full time and
Yep.
single mom and trying to just survive.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get
So
it. I'm the yes, I did the same thing. I mean, some of those crazy side effects and the after effects of brain surgery. I mean, I was doing the same thing. You can't sometimes you can't put life on hold, you know? You got to keep going.
yeah,
So I'm glad, yeah, finding those points of relief are huge. So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's
So
amazing.
that was in 2008. And then I moved back to be closer to my family.
Mhm.
And I found another pelvic floor therapist up in the Tampa area. I started going to like the head of the urogynecology department at Tampa General. they suggested doing a manipulation under anesthesia where they put you out
Whoa.
and massage all the knots out of your body and then do Botox injections.
What?
So, to like, yeah, to
I can't.
paralyze the muscles so that they stop contracting. Like, how crazy is this, right? So
That
I
doesn't sound sustainable.
But
Yikes.
I was like, so I
Whew.
talked to my old therapist in Miami and, checked around about it and stuff, and I ended up doing it and
Yeah.
it helped for a little bit, but it was like nothing stuck. And then
Yeah.
I started trying to figure out like, okay, well maybe it's something with like the gynecology stuff, and because I was having cysts,
Yeah.
and my spine, my body seems to make a lot of cysts anyway,
Hmm.
regardless. So
All right.
I was going in, I had a laparoscopy done, I had colonoscopies done, trying to figure out, is
Yeah.
it something that's in my abdomen that's causing me issues? Because I was having, like, I had the pelvic floor dysfunction, but I also had a lot of muscle contraction issues in my abdomen as well. So
Hmm.
I was like, is something causing something to be inflamed? And it's like a domino effect of all these things, right?
Right.
So then they did a laparoscopy and looked inside to make sure I didn't have endometriosis. My
Mm.
doctor said everything looked good, but I was in so much pain still that they decided to just go ahead and go in. And he was like, sometimes we don't find the endometriosis until we open you up and, go in there and everything. So I had that done and they went in and they actually did find the endometriosis, but I had scheduled the surgery just to have my uterus out and nothing else.
Hmm.
And so it all worked out fine anyway, but they ended up just taking that out. But then I had to have a second surgery because I had the endometrial tissue on like my ureters
Mm.
inside. So he didn't want
Yeah.
to mess up anything. So I
Right.
ended up going to an oncologist and having a second surgery. And that actually really helped because I was having digestive issues. And I think
Yeah.
from having all the extra lesions in there from endometriosis. And I don't know if your listeners know what that is, but it's basically where the lining of your uterus goes out into the abdominal cavity.
Yeah. Endometriosis can be brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people on the show that have told stories about that with in their life. Yeah.
Yeah.
it can be pretty bad. So yeah. Yeah.
So I had that removed and that seemed to help for a while, but when we were talking about the connective tissue
Hmm.
disorder, it seemed like over time I was not only having like pain in my hips and my back and down my legs, but I was also having it like like it seemed like it just started going from head to toe.
Yeah.
Like for my work, I was doing a lot of physical labor and I would start having arm issues. And I was like, I'm just falling apart, right? So,
Sometimes it can feel
so
like that. Yeah.
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 So I um I got to the point where I was just basically getting up and going to work every day.
Uh,
And then other than that, I was pretty much in bed. Like I was barely surviving.
wow. Yeah.
And yeah, it was bad. Um, but I started when I was going to the pelvic floor therapy, my therapist had somebody come in from the Unity Church, and she would come in like once a week and started volunteering for a group of us. And she brought in this book called You Are Not Your Pain. And it
Mm.
was a book that you read and then you do the meditations. There was, I
Mhm.
think, like 8 meditations or something. So
Yeah.
we did that together. And that was like my saving grace during that time
Yeah.
because that was the only thing I think that really helped me kind of get out of the cycle of of suffering and feeling bad, and you know what I mean? I don't, the
Yeah. Yeah.
the meditations were like, you know, I think, as you know, when you're going through so much chronic pain, you're always fighting it, right? You're like, I don't want to feel this. I want this to go away. What can I do to, or at least in the maybe in the earlier stages when you didn't
Oh
have
yeah. When
anything
you're not
to
sure
do.
what it is, you're like, yeah, get this
Yeah,
out of here. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So that kind of opened a door for me to accept the condition,
Mm,
feel what I'm feeling instead of constantly bracing against it and trying to push it away and, like just be so upset that I'm having to experience this on a daily
yeah.
basis and not feel like I have any control over it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sometimes that's the worst part. Yeah, I found myself in a situation like that too, man. And when yeah, when you get in that spot, you're just desperate for anything that'll bring you relief, right? It's like, just help, you know, you're trying everything. I tried all kinds of crazy stuff that I never thought I would even entertain. Yeah, it's nuts. Oh, well,
What was the Sorry,
what's
go
that?
ahead.
What was your question? No, what was your question?
I was gonna say, what's the craziest thing you've tried?
Oh man. So I mean, over the last 12 years and four brain surgeries, I've had everything from nonstop migraines for a year to large motor tics that would just rock the right side of my body. It's terrible. The filter in the brain that blocks out background noise, like in a crowded place, your brain like automatically blocks that out for most people. That filter was gone for about 2 years, so I couldn't really go anywhere with other people because it was like they were all plugged into the speaker and they were all coming at me at the same volume. There's some crazy side of when you go poking around in the brain, you never know what you're going to get. And so I've
Wow.
tried everything from chiropractic. I went to a chiropractic neurologist for a while. I tried cranial sacral. I tried dry needling. I never tried acupuncture, but what ended up working for some of it was I did go to chiropractic neurologist was pretty helpful. Neurofeedback was very helpful, actually. Neurofeedback was phenomenal to get rid of those migraines, man. That got rid of them within a month. The migraines were gone. That was great. Pressure point therapy on the vagus nerve. I mean, we've done a lot of crazy stuff, man. Got it all over the country for it. So, but like you said earlier, when you're in pain and you don't know what to do, you'll do just about anything to find relief, right? You'll walk across a football field of Legos bare feet, right? To find that relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. Well, I'll tell you what, I think this story is amazing, and I can't, and I think we're gonna pause. I feel like this is a good place to pause, and we're gonna come back in just a minute to talk about what you're doing now. Like what you're doing. We've kind of painted the picture of the crazy, right, and what you've been through, and kind of what you did to kind of live with it. We're gonna pick up from there, and we're gonna talk about some more stuff after this, but I'm gonna take you out of the screen for just a little bit, just for just a couple minutes. But Paula, I really appreciate you being here and telling your story. And I can't wait to hear the rest of it, and we'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, everybody, listen. I think I talked about this earlier. And you saw the intro at the beginning that said welcome live from NRG Studios. Now, if anybody that's in business right now, if you're a business owner, or if you're at a in a career that depends on referrals for your business, to which most of us do, right? Referrals are king. And so Network Referral Group is probably the best, hands down, the best networking group I've ever been a part of. And it's national. It's actually international. You have access to over 30 Zoom calls a week that you can go on and interact with other business owners and other owners of companies and get referrals, like quality three-way intro, warm referrals from all these business owners that can help you build your business. So if that sounds appealing to you, to me, it's been life changing over the last 2 years that I've been part of that group. Mike is the owner of NRG, and Mike and I even came to an agreement where he sponsored our studio. So that's why you saw welcome to, live from NRG Studios. That is one of the collaborations that came out of being part of this networking group for me. And it's incredible. So I have done a lot of networking, and NRG has ruined me for all of the networking. I love NRG. So I wanted to at least throw that out there. Scan the QR code, and you'll be able to see the website and reach out to Mike and just tell him Jeff told you about it on Invisible Condition, and he'll get you to a call and see what you think. So the other thing I wanted to mention to you is which one is that? Nope, that's not right. Is that it? That might be it. Nope, that's my email. I'm in a new system, guys. Bear with me. There we go. There we go. That's the stuff. So Hydro with Hope is a nonprofit partner for the show. And that organization we launched about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Good Lord. About 4 years ago, to help people with the condition that I was born with, which is called hydrocephalus. Hydro's easier. So we did Hydro with Hope. So we have a journal that we publish to walk people through that sometimes terrifying experience of, holy crap, we have to have brain surgery again. How's this going to go? And so it walks you through all of that. And then you write down everything that you want to ask your neurosurgeon at your next appointment. And then you're not caught clueless at your next appointment. You've got everything written down. That's important. So I love to travel the country and speak and tell stories of hope and bring these journals to hospitals that need it, and encourage families around the country and around the world. This is where all the funding goes, is for us to be able to help these families. So you can donate monthly, you can donate one time. We love you either way. And so that is Hydro with Hope. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that that is available. And I think that is the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about. So let's bring Paula back on there. Oh, one last thing. Thank you for watching. If you are watching on Facebook and YouTube, you already know this, but I'm going to say it out loud anyway. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, which is a new platform in season 7, we started broadcasting to LinkedIn as well. Any one of those 3 platforms, if you have a question or something Paula says that you're like, whoa, hold on, say that again. I want to talk to you about that, or that doesn't sound right. I have this question about it. Put a comment in. Just say, hey, ask the question, or say, hey, Paula, I want to talk to you about that. And you'll be able to, you can interact with her through social media, or I'm going to put her email address on the screen here for the rest of the show when we bring her back on. So you can just email her with any questions you have as well. So that is what it's all about. So, all right. Paula, here is the email. So I'm just going to put that there and just leave it there for the rest of the show. So if people have questions about what we talk about, that's where they'll reach out. So now, what else do we want to talk about? Let's see. We could, I know we talked about a podcast that you're doing. We talked about what direction do we want to go here? What do we want to talk about?
Well, when I was in Miami and I was having a bunch of issues and I was trying everything under the sun,
Yeah.
um, I started doing yoga and that seemed to be helping a little bit.
Nice.
Um, and I was listening to a lot of Marianne Williamson. I don't know if you're familiar with her,
I've heard the name. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like Wayne Dyer, things that
Mhm.
are like,
Yep.
be the best person you can. Like, how do we get rid of these extraneous things that are holding us back, right? So,
Right.
the course that you mentioned earlier that I teach is called Avatar. And
Nice.
it's basically so I started doing that in 2008. I took this course. And let me give you a little backstory. I
Yeah.
grew up in the church, like I had told you. I did
Hmm.
not have a very good experience in the church. Um, I went to private school for a long time, and I don't know, it didn't fit with me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm totally I love Christians. I have a hard time with some people that are in the church versus like
Okay.
the real,
So do some so do some
you
Christians.
know,
So you
yeah,
don't.
yeah. So
We're
so I
all
really,
imperfect, crazy people, So just because they're in the church doesn't mean they're easy to deal with. I understand.
yeah. So I mean, we all have our own path to walk, right? So that wasn't a good fit for me.
Sure.
And so I was always trying to kind of figure out like where my spiritual beliefs fit, like
Yes.
I learned more about a God that was very judgmental, very
Mm.
judgmental. I can't even speak.
That's all right. I heard
and,
you.
and more fearful. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
Yeah.
a God of love to me. So
Oh.
I
Mm.
started doing the avatar courses, and it was a lot about like um, putting you back in the driver's seat of your life, right? Like a lot of us go through life and we're doing all the things that we think that we should be doing,
Hmm.
but we have like one foot out, we're just going through the motions. We're trying
Yeah.
to, you know, keep up appearances and do everything that you feel like everybody else thinks you should be doing, or you have a certain
Right.
standard for yourself.
Yeah.
So I started taking that course, and it was like kind of playing with consciousness. It's very fun. There's people from all over the world that come, and after COVID now it's on Zoom, and so you interact with a lot of people from all over the world, and it's so much fun. It's like exercises where you kind of see how your attitudes and your like whatever your judgments that you have for
Yeah.
other people, how those kind of play out. Like, oh, well, if I look at this way, and then, you know, like how does that feel? Like
Yeah.
people that come up to you and are, if you're not coming from love, right? You're coming from a place of judgment, people feel that, right?
They
And
totally
it
do.
really
Yeah.
shuts down the communication. You can't
Yes.
be present and open with other people and really find the goodness in the moments that we're living when
Yeah.
we're like filtering everything through protective mechanisms, right? So anyway, so I started doing that course, and I absolutely loved it. And I think that brought me closer to feeling like God loves me, and like finding myself more.
Sure.
So I did some of that, and then I think over the years having this illness, I fought against it so much, and I felt like it was something that happened to me instead of for me. And I think through all of my spiritual and like transformational self development work that
Hmm.
a path that I've been on, it's really kind of turned it inside out for me. So I think part of the illness and part of the problem that kept me from getting a diagnosis for so long
Yeah.
is because I was constantly fighting against it, and
Yes.
always feeling like I wasn't good enough. And anything, I think, like the misconception that I had from growing up in the church was kind of like anything bad that I do, like I'm a sinner, right? So anything bad that I do, I'm going to be punished for. So I was constantly like on this overdrive of fight or flight.
Mm.
And I think that caused so much inflammation in my body and my nervous system because I could never be enough. I could never do enough. I was like trying to
Yeah.
outrun myself.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Wow. Well, as a Jesus follower myself, I would like to apologize as on behalf of whoever was doing that for you to you, because that is not the God I know. So I'm so sorry you went through that. It's a crazy thing. I mean, it's a crazy thing being a Christian, with all of that to deal with. And so it can be rough. It can be rough. I understand. So yeah, yeah, I'm so sorry you went through all that. That's that can be tough.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, tell us, I mean, that's where you kind of that's where you kind of had to rewrite your own right, I think the term, like rewriting your own story, your illness story, right? Like
Mhm.
rewriting that story, figuring out, okay, well, that doesn't work for me, this does and that does, and how do we reconstruct this so that it makes sense in our brain, in our life, and is that kind of what you talk about in your podcast? Is it what is your podcast about that you do?
So, yes, you're absolutely right. So I kind of had to rewrite my own story and
Yeah.
find my own voice within it,
Mhm.
right? Because I was so hyper vigilant trying to
Oh yeah.
protect myself and living from fear all the time.
Yeah.
And so, from all the work that I did, I finally realized, God is within me, my spirit, my soul that talks to me. Like if we get like clear and stop all the mind chatter that's constantly going on, get back
Yeah.
into our bodies and live from a place of trust instead of hypervigilance,
Yeah.
um, the world opens up. I mean, it's like puts you in the present moment, and it's such a gift, like they say. It's so cliche, but it's so very true.
Yeah.
So through my journey and basically having this illness has led me to have to do all of that work. So it's been more of a gift to me than it's been a curse.
Sure.
I mean, it's been horrific and painful, and you know how it is, just a
Oh
nightmare.
yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So, but in the end, I mean, I feel like I finally like popped the bubble and I finally realized that, oh, okay, if I stop being in this constant hypervigilant state where I am having to carry everything myself and trust that the universe and God's got me, things start to appear that I need,
Yeah.
and it's just magical. And so that's part of what rewriting the illness story is. It's um, looking at what's happening in our lives from a place of, the body is the messenger and it's here to tell me something.
Yeah.
And I can freak out and fight against it and do all the things that my little ego self can do to try to take control, or I can relax and trust
Yeah.
and try to see the best in everything. And so I have a few episodes recorded. I think I have three out right now,
Nice.
and really it's something that I feel called to do, but it's also an exploration for me as well
Hmm.
as my guest. Um, so I say that I had chronic pain for 17 years without a diagnosis,
Yeah.
but I started having pain in 2001 and I got the diagnosis in 2017. So it's been almost another 9 years. And even after I had the surgery, um, I felt pretty good for a little while, but I still have the pelvic floor pain. And I think that's where I'm really learning, like, okay, you have to relax. You have to relax and trust life instead of fighting against it. So,
Yeah. I mean, that is that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that sympathetic nervous system, man, is brutal and can cause all kinds of stuff. So yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, it's so much easier said than done. uh,
exactly.
just chill out, man. Just relax. Yeah. Oh, it's just that easy. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Let me just do that. It's simple. It's very simple, but it's not always easy, right?
Correct.
There's so many things like that.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's a practice, right?
oh, it is. Is it so? But is it okay? Here's a question though. Is it something that, I mean, clearly you've been in this mindset with this new mindset of that you're talking about, for a little while now, right? So is it the kind of thing where you craft those new neural pathways and then it comes easier, and then maybe you have to do it less and less, and you still are kind of in that parasympathetic nervous system more, and you're not in that fight or flight so much? Or is it something that's constant, like if you don't exercise the muscle, it goes away?
It's definitely a training, like you're training your brain.
Okay.
So, and that's why, so I was, constantly chasing my tail trying to find a diagnosis and
Right.
going to everybody under the sun.
Totally.
And, I was having nerve blocks. I was on massive amounts of pain medication and everything and going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I think when I started doing the meditation CD, it started to kind of retrain my brain. And so I've kind of followed that type of modalities to
Nice.
really kind of figure out, okay, what's going on. And then I think a lot of the times when you have illnesses like me, like I have, that are from like a chronic state of hypervigilance and not feeling safe,
Hmm.
a lot of that is emotional as well.
Yes. Hmm.
So I'm doing more of that because I think when you have an illness and you're in pain, period. If you're in pain, period, right? You're going to the
Yeah.
doctor. You're like, somebody help me. I don't want to feel like this, right?
Yeah.
So, and with these types of illnesses that conventional medicine here in the United States doesn't have anything for, like
No.
anxiety disorders, depression, all that stuff, like you really have to go within and figure out like what is my responsibility here. I mean, I still have digestive system issues, I have some IBS problems and stuff. And
Sure.
it's like I'm always like, "Oh, well, maybe I should go to this nutritionist." And then I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Am I exercising? Am I doing, you know what I mean? Like it really
Right.
starts like you gotta at least do the things that you know that are gonna help you, and then I guess it just kind of goes from there. I'm still learning.
Sure.
We met through um, a friend of ours, Penny Chason.
Yeah.
She's a hypnotist,
There you go.
and
Yep.
yeah, and I had reached out to her to see what she could do to help me because she started doing that because she was treating people as a nurse anesthetist in
Oh,
operating rooms.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, Penny knows something about chronic pain, and I'm gonna go to her.
Seriously.
So, and
Yeah.
it's really helped me a lot to do the hypnosis with her, and but it's basically a practice. It's almost like learning how to talk to yourself again and learning to
Yeah.
have good self-talk and believe in yourself because growing up I had a lot of turmoil, like my parents didn't grow up very supportive and they passed that on to me, and my parents didn't get along, and so I was always kind of in this like tumultuous turmoil
Yeah.
family life, and I think that just kind of set my nervous system onto a way like on that track, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, in something you said a few minutes ago that I don't want to just gloss over here, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard you incorrectly here, but what I've heard you say a few times alludes to the idea that physical symptoms can be brought on by emotional events, right? So you, like, there's an extreme emotional event, and then maybe 6 months or a year later, you discover that you have this some sort of condition that came out of nowhere seemingly, and you're wondering what the heck what happened. And then, but what you've done is go, and you said, oh well, my default was to go to the functional medicine person, or to go to the primary care guy or whatever. But if it's been brought on emotionally, wouldn't you think you'd want to treat it emotionally like that? Like you wouldn't, I don't know. Am I on track here? Am I, is that,
Yeah,
is
you're
that,
absolutely on track. But I didn't know that it was,
Well, and most people
emotional.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
exactly right. Yeah.
most people don't. You
Mhm.
don't know what you don't know. Don't feel it, or don't feel bad if you don't know, because most people, I didn't know until I knew. So yeah, you just so, but no, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah. Now you know where to go.
Exactly. So,
Yeah,
and I just interviewed somebody on my podcast that does internal family systems. It's called IFS work. Have you heard
nice.
of that?
I have heard of it. I have virtually no knowledge of it, but I've heard the term. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I can't wait to put that episode out.
Oh
He's
yeah,
very good at it, and he had an illness journey as well, and it led
nice.
him into doing this work. And it basically is like, you know, you grow up, you go through certain traumas, and whether you stuff it down or whatever, it's something that's unresolved, right? And
Right.
so those parts of us become like watchdogs.
Yeah,
And so you have all these guards at the gate that now you're that are contributing to your attitudes in life and like how successful you are, or you know how much pain you're in, or whatever it
yeah.
is. And so it's basically like a therapy that you go in and you look at whatever those issues were, and they're not always something super traumatic or some, you know, like that you have
No.
to go through. It's sometimes it's just a misperception, or you didn't feel safe, or whatever it is.
Right. Well, some of that trauma, yes, totally. Yes, for sure. What you said, I agree with. And in addition to that, just because it's traumatic doesn't mean it's negative. So your brain doesn't always distinguish between the two, right? Positive or negative. If it was an overwhelming experience to your system, it doesn't have to be negative. Like you just moved into your dream house, just bought your dream car, just had twins, right? And you're like, whoa, what are we gonna? It's like it's a beautiful thing, but holy crap, what are we gonna do now? You know, it doesn't have to be negative; it could to be overwhelming, right? And that's where people, I think, drop the ball and go, but that was a beautiful thing, but it was still trauma, right?
Yeah.
That's so, yeah, that's where I misinterpreted. That's where I dropped the ball. I was like, wait a minute, that was a good thing. Why would it affect me negatively? You know, so yeah. So what are people, so if people email you, what are, like, if they say, hey, where's your podcast? Or hey, you know, I want to meet with you because this is amazing and you're telling me all this stuff and I want to learn more. What are you going to send them when they email you? What are you going to respond with? Like, what's the goal here?
So I teach the avatar course. If anybody wants to sign up for that, it's usually 4 times a year, and um, there's like a free demo session. And there's also like the first course is 9 days, but you can do like the 2 day and then see if you like it and then continue on. I
Okay.
think so. There's a little flexibility with that. Um, I was doing herbal consultations.
Nice.
I started doing herbal medicine as part of all this to kind of
Oh, I
figure
bet.
out what I can to do
Yeah,
to heal myself.
sure.
And so if anybody wants to work with me, I did have a website, but I took it down because I was just like, I'm still working full time. And, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I'm like, you know, I do it a little bit here and there. And I've had some good success with it.
cool.
And then other than that, I have the podcast. It's called Rewriting the Illness Story.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much what I got going on. I'm just
That's awesome.
excited to be helping. You know, it took so many years for me to really like crack the nut onto what was going on, and
Yes.
to get some kind of resolution is just magnificent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally agree. We had a guest on one time a couple years ago that literally took her 12 years to get the proper diagnosis. So it was, here's a diagnosis. Oh, here's a medication we think will work. Oh, that wasn't it. Oh, scrap that medication. Let's try this diet. It's like throwing mud against the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, going to the I feel like going to the medical world with these types of conditions and these types of symptoms is almost counterproductive, you know,
Mhm.
because they if there's not a medication they can give you for it, or a condition name to assign to it, they don't know what to do. And so I love that you took the steps you needed to actually find it. So it's awesome when you actually figure that out, because it's not limiting, right? It's actually freeing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So we got about, I mean, this time flies when you're having fun, right? We have about 3 minutes left before we're done here today. And so in these last 2 or 3 minutes, what would be your message to our audience to close us out?
Um, so I think really the biggest thing is to have self acceptance and unconditional self love. Give yourself some grace. I mean, I think the biggest hurdle for me was feeling like I was doing something wrong and I was being punished.
Oh,
And the worse I felt, and I kept going out to other people to help me. I wasn't getting any support in the medical field. It's very lonely and can be very traumatizing when you're doing every medication under the sun with all the injections and the this
ugh,
and the that and the you
right.
know and
Yeah,
so I think it really starts there is recognizing like you're perfect the way that you are, and this is happening for you so that you can claim your voice and claim your unique self that you are in this world.
yeah,
I mean, it's very much like a self-love journey.
yeah.
It's interesting, it's definitely a practice. It's not something like all of a sudden
Oh, yeah,
happens. But
right?
I think it's so interesting from my viewpoint before of being so fearful and always like feeling like, oh, this person's doing something negative and I don't like that, and feeling like I had to support them, like, if I'm friends with you, then or I like you, you're similar to me, then it's easy for me to accept you, right? But it's those people that aren't, and it's like, well, wait
Yeah,
a minute, like they still have something to offer you. We all have the spirit inside of us. We're all pieces of God, and we're all just players in everybody else's drama. So no matter what you
it's
get,
true. No,
those
it's
people are showing up because they're there for a reason. So
yeah,
it's just really opened my eyes to see that and be more accepting of life.
yeah,
And I'm still me. I'm not always going to like all of it, but
sure.
but it's so much more magical to live
Yeah,
like that.
I love it. It's true. It's true. You got some stuff figured out that some people go their whole life without knowing. So it's awesome. I love it. And that you're helping other people with it as well, which I love. So yeah. Well, hey, I wish we had another hour, but we don't. I'm so glad we got to do this, though. Thank you, Paula. Thank you so much for being here and for being so open to telling your story and being so authentic and just getting it out there. That's what I always love to hear. That's why I love talking to people on this show, because it just comes out and it's beautiful. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. I'm trying to have more
Absolutely.
fun in the world and in life nowadays.
That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Oh man. Oh, that was so cool. All right. All right, everybody. Look, I know. I wish we could have talked for another hour, but we, just can't do it. So there's another show coming up later that I don't want to encroach on. So here we go. Next week, though, or next show, I should say. By the way, thank you for being here. I mean, no matter where you're watching from, I am so glad you're here. It's so fun to know that you're getting something out of this and that you're enjoying it and you're sharing it with your friends and you're bringing them along next time. It's awesome. So thank you for helping us to grow. It's all you, audience. It's all you. So thank you so much for being here. Join me for my next show, which will be May 1st. Good Lord, we're already there, kicking off May with another show. So Tuesday, May 1st. We'll see you then. And have an amazing day. We'll see you soon.